afternoon, Stampers. We're here today. This is actually my third try at this video. I've had like a total comedy of errors all morning long, including dropping an entire jar of Dazzling Diamonds glitter all over the floor. And my dog was below me, so my little black palm now has glitter on her and also glitter all through my house. So I have enough left to show you this technique. Today I'm going to do the dryer sheet technique. I do a little twist to mine. This technique, normally, like in my technique ring, you can do where you just stamp an image and overlay it with your dryer sheet technique. I add a little twist to it where I stamp and emboss on it. And on this one, what I did is I used the Woodland embossing folder, and by stamping on the embossing folder, I was able to have some shadow of trees behind, which gave it kind of a 3D dimension to it. But you know, it's Christmas. If you don't have something glimmery and shiny and like me, glitter all over the house, well, here we go. So I'm going to show you how I did this one today. We are going to just jump right in, and we start with a 4 1/4. Oh wait, see, I'm already messing up. A 4 by 5 1/4, because we're going to overlay it onto a card base where we have a frame. So apologies again already. So it's 4 by 5 1/4. And we are going to take our, now I've lost, our Woodland embossing folder. And on this folder, I just love the detailed trees. When you have your embossing folders, normally the side with the writing is going to be the upper embossed side, the side that's going to be the inside impression, if that makes sense. So we're going to be working with that inside impression so that we have our trees in the background. So what I'm going to do, and on this card, I like using the darker inks because with the dryer sheet laid over it, it will mute your picture. So with the darker inks, it seems to show through easier. So I'm using Night of Navy, and I also have my sponge brayer. And what I'm going to do, I even use my Stamparatus for this. When Stamparatus came out, it worked great for it because even stamping on the embossing folder, you're able to restamp your image a couple times to make sure it's nice and bold behind there. So let me set this up. And the other comedy errors this morning was I hit my magnets together and broke one. There you go. It seriously has been one error after another all morning, so I'm really hoping this works for us. So I know that this is the bottom of my trees right here. So this is the bottom of my scene. So I'm going to lay this in there. You can use your magnet. It in fact will hold it where it's not moving around. And what I'm going to do is sponge the background just a little bit because I want these embossed trees to really pop out from the background. So if I have a little bit of shading behind them, it just makes them more vibrant. So we're just going to take our sponge dauber, or brayer, and just go over it a little. You don't want to push really hard because you don't want to get it down inside the tree images where the actual tree is going to be white. I don't even know what these trees are. I assume they're, I wouldn't even know, an elm. No, they're not an elm. Not really sure. I'm a city girl. Don't know those trees stuff very well. So I'm just lightly going over the, where I know my background trees are going to be. Because we know our cardstock is smaller than the size of our embossing folder. So I just want a little bit of tint back there. So I'm going to put my brayer aside. And now we're going to stamp our background trees on there. On the card that we did here, I used Lovely as a tree. It has this beautiful pine tree that I just stamped several times. But I was looking at my winter woods, and I think we're going to go ahead and see how these trees do as a background. But the other one is in Lovely as a Tree, and it was the large pine, which we may still even do in the very front of this one. So we'll keep that thought in mind. So I'm going to grab our trees. And as you see, look at all the glitter on my stamp. I have glitter everywhere, you guys. Everywhere. In my house, in my hair, my dog. It won't hurt it. It's not going to hurt the way it stamps. So I know I want my trees to kind of be my background image. So we know we have, this is probably about where I'm going to lay my cardstock when I go to emboss it. So I know basically from side to side I'm going to have trees in the background. So I'm going to lay them on there. And then I'm going to ink them up. I'm still using the Night of Navy. I'm going to stamp it right onto the embossing folder. See how it doesn't go down in the grooves of your tree? That's what you want. So we're going to do it one more time so that my stems came out really well. I want my tree a little bit darker there, which is the good part of having your Stamparatus. You can restamp it for a nice bold image. So then, let me grab a wipe here because I want to reposition again. I could have started on this side, but I want to reposition this again. So I want to kind of, I think I want them to overlap this one tree just a little bit. So I'm going to lay it down. Pick it up with my Stamparatus. And then stamp my image. So you can almost see how it's coming together as background trees already, even without being on your paper. See where I have some light spots? Just going to restamp it a little and make them a little more vivid. Inking on your embossing folders does not hurt it. As a matter of fact, you can, when you're all done, the easiest way to clean it, just go run it under the tap water and it'll come right off. Dry it off, be fine. So I'm going to move this one aside. Of course, I have ink everywhere, you guys. And I think I want to put this one really nice pine tree. I want to put it right in the middle of where my cardstock is going to lay. So we're just going to try it. I haven't done this before, so we'll see together what it looks like. ink it up real well. Look at that. I kind of stamped it in the middle of that pine tree, so it didn't really show up, but that's okay. We're going to go with it. I think that the outline of the trees in the back is going to be really nice. So let me get some of this ink off my hands before I move on. So now we're going to bring in, got our embossing folder. I'm going to close these because with my luck I'll drop my ink pad on something. So I'm going to move this aside and we're going to bring in our Big Shot. And what I want to do, I've got my regular Big Shot platform and my 2 plates. So I'm going to put down 1 plate and I'm going to gently lay, I want to gently lay my cardstock where I think I want it. And since the bottom of my trees are right there, I'm just going to come down just a hair. And I'm going to lay this in there. Try not to move it around so it doesn't smear. And then we're going to run it through our Big Shot. And together we're going to see how this turns out. Ugh, my table's spinning. And when we open it up, let's see what we came out with. And there you go. So you have your trees. In the big background, you have just a little bit of shading. So we're going to move our Big Shot aside. And then what I do, so that my trees are even more defined, you could have even done a little more shading on here. And you can do that. Take a dauber and shade the back if you want. But take your Stampin' Right marker, and this is the Night of Navy. And on the embossing, you'll see these little lines on the tree. And I like to just take and hit my marker in those little lines. I'll zoom this in a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. Hopefully that shows. So I'm just going, there's going to be a little bit of ink in those, but I want it to be bold. So you just quickly hit these little lines with your marker. This looks really good even if you're not doing a background or anything like that with this embossing folder. If you're just using it to do the trees themselves, take your crumb cake or even your early espresso marker after you've embossed this and hit these little lines. It really looks neat. Maybe somebody leave a comment and let me know what type of trees these are. I'm from the desert, so I'm mostly cactus. I live in Washington now, and of course I love the pine trees and the green and the seasons that I didn't get living in Las Vegas. But I can't tell a tree from another tree. And I live in kind of farm country. It's apple country and orchards and hops, and I can't tell a pear tree from an apple tree yet. I mean, unless it has a big red fruit on it, it's pretty obvious. I don't know. And it wasn't until I moved up here that I even knew what a hop plant looked like and how weird they grow them. I like beer, so it's alright, but hops are pretty fragrant when it's hop season around here. Okay, we almost got this. But you'll see it makes a very big difference because when you're laying your dryer sheet over it, of course it's you know, kind of mutes the picture a little bit. So there we go. So we've got our trees, our lines. Now, your dryer sheet, you have to use a used dryer sheet. And so what I do is I take mine out of the dryer, or my husband does actually, because he does the laundry, and I just kind of flatten them out, and then I have several. So then we're just going to take and we're going to cut a piece that is larger than our image. I'll zoom out here a little for you. So we need a piece that's a little larger than our image because we can always, we're going to trim it down. So I'll just take a pair of scissors, trim this down. Okay. So see, it's just a little bit bigger. And this is how it's going to lay. So I'm going to bring in a piece of scratch paper. There's two ways you can adhere your dryer sheet. If you have glue sticks, remember we used to have glue sticks? I liked them and they work good for this, except for my glue sticks, if I don't use them regularly, they seem to dry out even with the lid on. So I went and I got some Elmer's spray adhesive. There's several brands out there. This is really cheap. And this can, I've had probably 3 years when I first learned this technique several years ago, and it's still 3/4 the way full. But when you use this, make sure you're in a vented space. As a matter of fact, I have my door open to my sheet cave right now because I don't want it to get overwhelming. It's strong. It's strong smelling. So I'm going to shake it up here. Okay, and then we're going to take our spray adhesive. And now I do both pieces. You don't, and it doesn't take a lot. It's very little. So I spritz just a little bit on my cardstock, mainly to get the edges so that I know it's going to stay down. As you can see, I'm barely spritzing. And then I'm going to spritz my dryer sheet. Make sure you got it. And then flip it over and smooth it onto your piece. Make sure you get the edges and know that it's going to stick to your paper. So make sure, I had a wrinkle there. Try not to get wrinkles. It won't hurt it, and sometimes it adds a really neat effect. But on this one, I wasn't trying to get that wrinkle, but it's glued down already. I'm going to flip this over. As you can see, I spilled stuff on this morning. Now, I'm going to actually trim this before I do glitter because I don't have a lot of glitter, and the glitter will stick to the dryer sheet. So I'm just trimming it off at the edges. I would suggest using an old cheap pair of scissors because it does have your spray adhesive on it, and you don't want to ruin your good snips. And just so you know, been there, done that, ruined a pair of snips because I got glue on them and couldn't get it off. So I'm going to make sure these edges are down. And I'm just going to lightly spritz this just again. It's still got some tacky, but since I'm not putting the glue on very thick. And then you're going to bring in your dazzling diamonds. And I would suggest use a tray so you don't drop them on the floor. And you just cover your sheet in dazzling diamonds. Tap it off a little bit. And just rub your glitter with your finger. It's already, you're not going to have glue. You're going to have, I have ink, but you're not going to have glue on your, because it's stuck. And just rub it into the dryer sheet. And then tap it off. And there we go. So there's your background. So you can see where I was talking about sponging just a little bit of background. See how it adds just a little bit of shadow back there? If I did this again, I think I would add just a little more shadow like I did there. But it just kind of makes these front trees pop out. So then all I did was I took a piece of, if I can find it, this is our card base, and it's Night of Navy. It is 8.5 by 5.5 and then scored. So we have our card base. I wanted to keep this card quite simple without a lot of extra to it because I kind of want the technique to really kind of stand out. So we have our card base, and then to create this ribbon right here, I'll show you a trick I have. This is just the white ribbon with the silver trim, and I have a piece of it here somewhere. Where did it go? Oh, where did it go? Seriously lost my ribbon, you guys. See, this is how this video is going, but you know what? We're just going to keep going with it. Oh, here it is. So this is the white ribbon with the silver edging. They have one with silver and they have one with gold. I love them both because I can create whatever color I want with them. I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper here. I'm going to show you how I color my ribbon. You can use your Stampin' Right marker for this. It works great. Problem is you have to really make sure it is dry before you go to lay it on your card because it takes a while to dry. So instead, I use my Stampin' Blend, and we're going to use the Dark Night of Navy Stampin' Blend. And I take my feather edge, and I simply color my ribbon. I try not to go over the silver part too much because the blend will actually color the silver a little. And you'll see it bleeds through, it bleeds out on the ribbon. So you just color it. And as you see, it colors the backside for you too. And the reason I like using the blend is that since it is an alcohol marker, it dries quickly because I don't have patience and I like things to happen fast. So here we go. So we're just going to color this whole piece. If you have an extra, you can save it for another project. My marker. Let's see, it's pretty much dry already. You can feel it a little bit, so you might want to let it dry. But I already know I need a piece that's, I just want it to go around the one side. So I'm going to trim it down. Yeah, I have specific ribbon scissors. I don't like dull scissors and ribbon because it always frays, so I have one set of scissors that are just for ribbon. And that's what I use them for. And then we're going to use this to make our little, it's not really a bow. I wanted it to be more of a kind of a masculine type holiday card, so I'm not going to do a bow. So what we got here is I took a little piece of the silver, what do they call this? Mini sequin trim. I just need a little piece. So I'm going to trim off a little piece. I'm going to take this, and all you do is tie a knot in it. I have ink everywhere, you guys. That's how my whole day has been, so. And before I cinch this tight, I'm going to slide my little piece of sequin ribbon in there, and then tie it. Kind of got stuck. Anyway, so there's our sequin ribbon. I'm going to slide it down just a little ways, so I have room to attach to my card. And I want it to be on this left side. So when I do ribbon, I take my snail, especially with something like this, because it'll stick well. And the part that's going to be on the card, get my snail started here, I just put snail on the ribbon. And I go all the way to the end because that's the side that's going to tuck around. I'm going to put it about right there. Oops. Sorry about that. And just wrap it around the back side. Wrap it around. And we've got our little bow knot. Take our ribbon scissors. I just cut an angle. I think I'm going to cut this one at this angle. I'm going to trim this sequence just a hair. There we go. So there we have our ribbon. And then this, I'm simply going to mount to my card base. I see where I have a little bit of dryer sheet that I didn't trim close enough, so I'm just going to trim that a little bit. I know, that's probably OCD, isn't it? Nobody else would notice. Guess I can move this out of the way for you guys. And bring in my glue. Yeah, I have a hand that holds my glue. I like using glue. A lot of people are very good at their snail adhesive, but I don't like my cards to come up off the base. So I just drizzle it and make sure I get my corners real well. I mean, not enough that it's going to ooze out, but I line up 2 corners and then the rest of it should fall into place if you've cut your paper the right size. And the other good thing about glue is you have a little bit of time to kind of shift or move if you need to square it up, where tape or fast fuse is just totally unforgiving for me. So I just use glue. And then I wanted to do a little extra on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our Dashing Deer dies, and you have all these beautiful little dies, but since our forest is small, let's see, do we want him? We could do him. Alright, so we're going to cut one of him out in silver. Let's see how he looks. Oh, he's adorable. You could cut him out in black or blue. I just kind of like the silver to kind of carry my silver through. So we have our little deer. I'm going to use glue on him also to make sure he stays down on the dryer sheet. And I'm just going to put him, let's put him right here in the woods. Just kind of looking around. Just glue him down there. And then I'm going to take, from the Petals and More set, they have this beautiful, I love this label. I like kind of simple labels. So we're going to cut one of these out in silver. You can find what I did with my silver here. I'm going to run it through the Big Shot. I suppose you guys don't need me to bring my Big Shot into the space just to cut out a label in silver. So I'll just put it on here. I used my magnetic platform, so I had to switch it. There's a couple things I can't live without. My magnetic platform is one of them. So I have my base for this. And I really liked this little simple greeting. You could do anything for greetings on this. I've done them where I've done die cut words, or you could actually leave it without. It would look just as well. But since I'm using this for Christmas, I'm going to add a greeting. And the greeting I chose is, what did I do with the stamp set of the greeting I chose? Okay, the greeting is out of in the holiday catalog, the beautiful Baubles. And it's got this nice, simple little Merry Christmas, Happy New Year in it. So let me grab that out of there. We're going to bring our Stamparatus back, because I've learned I can't survive without my Stamparatus. I have a scrap piece of white here is all we need. Oops, I just dropped it too, you guys. I'm going to see if this one's big enough. See if it'll fit on here. It looks like it will. I think all I did for the white greeting on this one, I'd say that's about a 1/2 inch by, looks like a 1/2 inch by about 2 1/4 inches for that greeting. So let's see how big this is. Oh, look at that, it's a 1/2 inch. So we're going to go ahead and see if I can stamp on there. A lot of times I'll stamp my greeting on a bigger piece and then just trim it down. This kind of saves me saves me time on error. But I'm just going to put my little magnets there. Make sure my paper's straight. In the center of greeting. Sometimes I have to use my tweezers, because right now I have a little bit of sticky on my fingers from doing the technique, and it sticks to the polymer. Apparently so let's see if we got that. Line it up. And then we're going to pick it up with our Stamparatus. My paper moved. We're going to hope it didn't move a lot. And ink up our stamp. Look at there. Came out great. And then, like I said, to fit in here into the little label, I want it to fit inside the little label. So I think it only needs to be about 2 1/4. So let me trim it here. Sometimes what I'll do if I don't have my trimmer handy, is I'm going to lay this on my next to my label so I know how much overlap I want to be. So I know I want to cut it about there. I want to cut it about there. Just tiny, tiny little pencil mark. Just grab our scissors. See if I need to trim it down. Oh, good guess, huh? What do you think? So let's move this out of the way. And we're going to take a little bit of glue. When you're putting something onto chrome papers, be very minimal with your glue, especially if you have to move it at all, because once you get glue onto your adhesive or your foil sheet, it's really hard to clean off. And it's another one of those things most people probably wouldn't notice, but I do. So we got that, and I'm going to show you another little trick I do. I have my standard pearls, and I decided I wanted, instead of white pearls on this, I would like to have matching pearls. So again, I'm going to go back to my Stampin' blend, and you go to your, just take it and go around your little pearl, color your pearl. And unlike the Stampin' Write markers, you can do this with your Stampin' Write marker also, but you need to really make sure it's dry, or as soon as you touch it, the ink will come off. But see, with the blend, it doesn't. And I should have used my handy dandy little tool. If you don't have this Stampin' Pick tool, oh, you have to get it. It's amazing. Oh, where'd my, okay, there he is. Wait, where'd my blue one go? Oh, there it is. Now we're just gonna put it right on there. Pick up the other one. Put it right on there. Yeah, this thing's got, it's just amazing. It's got different ends from a poker. There's a whole nother unit that goes here too with other items you can use. But this I use a lot. So this is the end that I keep on it. You can buy just the putty refills for it. It's an amazing tool. I mean, I was the old use your pick tool and everything to try to get your bling. So, okay, so we got that. And I want to pop that up. So I'm going to add some dimensionals. I don't scrimp on my dimensionals, so I'm going to use 3 on this. Or if you have a label like this, you can always use your edges. You know, I use every bit of my dimensionals. So if you're low, just cut off an edge piece, just stick it on there. Works great. So we're going to take off the backing. I don't know if you guys hear it. My little girl is walking around the room in here, and she kind of woofs really quiet, like, I'm here. What are you doing? I think I want to put this above my trees. Right there. And there you go. It's shiny, it's simple, and it works good for all occasion. You could turn this into a masculine card, birthday, anything, especially around the holidays. I would do an insert, and just to kind of carry the theme through, maybe take your Dashing Deer stamp set and stamp a little deer in the Knight of Navy in the corner of your greeting page and stamp your greeting. Pardon me. And there you go. There's a simple dryer sheet. If you want your images, there's another thing. When you're doing your dryer sheet, you could do your your image in the back, whether or not it would be embossed or not is up to you. I like the effect of having the dry emboss and the stamped image. You can just do a stamped image. If you want your image to be bolder, then you do your dryer sheet technique and then you stamp on top of your glittered dryer sheet. You'll still get all the sparkle. It's just a lot bolder image that's not been muted by the dryer sheet. And there you go. There it is. And that really didn't take very long. It's pretty quick technique. So it looks, I like it both ways. I really do kind of like the other trees that were out of in the wood set. I kind of like that. I might have added maybe one more of the large pine tree here, so you had like 3 layers of trees there. I've seen where people stamp scenes. I've actually done it where I've done like a snow scene with a moon and a couple trees in the sky, sponged, and then do your dryer sheet technique over the top. Anything goes, like any other stamping. Whatever you like is what goes. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and be sure to check out my my store for any of the items you may need. My December hostess code will be on the end of this video. You do get tutorials from me when you order using my hostess codes. If you're looking for more techniques like this, on my webpage, tinascraftyinkspot.com, this is one of the 50 techniques that are also in my technique ring. It's put together where you have easy access to it, comes with the ring. They're all covered in plastic. They have photos and instructions how to do each technique, and this is one of them. I hope that you enjoyed this video today and you have a fabulous day. Happy holidays from Tina's Crafty Ink Spot. Bye.